Hey guys, today we'll be continuing with the Python video tutorials. We'll be going over the while loop. So I'm working in PyCharm again today. We'll just start. So we'll have a variable here called keep going, and it's a string. Oh, whoops, sorry, I have to change that for a sec. Okay, my keyboard got messed up. Okay, so keep going points to y. So the while loop basically it's gonna keep looping. I'll show you how it works. So we have a while loop here. So while keep going is equal to y. So that's a string here. While the string is still y. Then we're gonna say sales points to float. So casted float to the input function, and we'll say enter the amount of sales. So enter the amount of sales, we'll get a value for that, and then we'll have another variable here. Column rate, I think that's commission rate, and then we'll just say float. I think we'll just call it commission column rate for commission rate, and then here we'll just have float casted to input, and say enter the commission rate. Spell it right? No. So enter the commission rate. We're going to want new lines here, because the input function doesn't automatically put a new line after it. So here we'll have a calculation, so we'll say commission so commission points to sales times column rate. And here we'll have print the commission is $. And we'll have outside the string we'll have format commission comma dot 2f, so 2 decimals separated with commas, and then have have 2 decimal places. So here the loop basically is going to have a condition, so the condition here is going to check again, so we'll say we can reset keep going points to input. So it's going to prompt the user, do you want to calculate another we could just say again. Enter Y for yes. So this is case sensitive. Later we'll do one where we'll make it that it can be either or. There's probably a built-in function, so we'll go over that later on. So enter Y for yes. And that's all. That should have, there we go. So remember in Python your loop should have a semicolon outside of it. There's no brackets once again, and there's everything that's in the loop is going to be indented. So once we're out of the loop, so if we unindented, that means we're out of the loop. Same thing as an if or an else, or an elif. So that should be all. We'll set a breakpoint here just to show what happens. I'll save that, and we'll run it. So we'll have our variables down here. Sorry, down here. So I'll step over that. So we have keep going is a string, and it points to y, the character y. In Python, again, there's no character type, so it's just a string. I did it in double quotes. You can do it in single quotes if you want. String works fine, just in case you want to keep later on you want to keep going and make it like a longer word rather than a letter, so you can just keep it as a string. So then here we'll say while keep going is equal to y. So remember, Python compares strings with two equal signs. Don't get confused. For an equal versus an equal versus a double equal. So remember, equals just means points to. In a loop condition, you can't do that. The way I remember it is that every time I see two equal signs, I just say is equals. So keep going. So it's saying while keep going is equal to y. That's a pretty good way to remember that, the difference between them. For this, you can think of is set to or points to. I think of points to because really what's happening is this is a memory. We have, again, I've explained this before, but sales represents a memory location. Yeah, so sales really is it's a name for like a string of numbers, which is actually a number. That's like a memory location. So it's like OX and hex code, like 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 9 2 4 5. That's the memory location. So sales represents that memory location, and that memory location points to this data, which is stored there. So that's why I always say points to. In Java, basically use it for pointers, just the equal sign. And C, they have their own pointers, but you can still have things pointing to each other. So for me, it works fine to remember that. It'll take you a long way if you just remember that every time you see equals, just say that it points to, and every time you see two equals, that means is equal to. So hopefully that clears that up. Where are we now? Okay, so while keep going, we're going to step into this loop. And we'll say here, sales points to float, so we're going to have to take input for the amount of sales from the user. So I'll step over that. I'll click the console button. The amount of sales, let's just say it's like 10,000. I'll hit enter, and we'll say, okay, well, column rate points to float. So again, we're going to take input for the commission rate. I'll step over here, we'll just say that the commission rate's like 5%. Then here we'll say commission points to, so there's a calculation here. So we have in our variables, we have commission points to, so sales times comm rate. So that's going to give us our commission. If you look in our variables now, we have a commission variable which has a value. Oh, I should have did a decimal. I should have did a float for the commission, but like 0.05. That's okay. So then we'll say the commission is, so if I go to console, it says the commission is 50,000. Keep going. Do you want to calculate again? So this is going to take input, right? And it's going to set it, whatever input we take, like of course we've used the input function before. It gets input from the user, standard input, either from a keyboard, a mobile device, sometimes from a text file. So here we could say, okay, we'll keep going. Do you want to calculate again? So whatever we enter is going to get saved to the keep going variable, which in this case is a string. So if I step over this, it's going to wait for input here. Oh, is there an error there? Hopefully not. Okay, so we'll say do you want to enter again? So it should be a Y, but I think there's an error there somewhere. No? No, there's no error. Okay, so I don't know why it says that there is. End of statement expected, line 4. Missing closing quote. You might be thinking that this is an infinity loop. Actually, maybe not, because if we hit N, it wouldn't stop. So maybe it doesn't like the brackets. Here we have at the bottom, keep going points to input. Do you want to calculate again? That should be fine. We didn't need to cast it this time because input returns a string. Should be fine if I stop. What happens here? Is this to run? What happened to run? It's saying there's a problem here. Oh, there we go. That's the problem there. Enter the commission rate. Should be fine now. No. Enter. Oh, they're missing the string here. No. Okay, I forgot the input. I think here. Input. Enter the commission rate. To accidentally delete something, I didn't check that. Okay. So apologize for that. Hopefully that clears up any confusion. So we'll just do it one more time just to be clear here. Keep going set to Y as a string. While keep going, we'll step in. Here we're going to take input for sales. I'll enter 10,000 again. Commission rate, I'll enter 0. We have a float, so 0.05. I'll hit enter. Commission points to that value there. 500, so we have commission is 500. Print the commission rate is. Then here we have keep going. Do you want to enter another calculate again? So last time we I showed you what happened if we hit Y. So basically, as long as this is everything except for Y, the loop will stop because this condition will be false. The only way for this loop to be true is if Y is if keep going is equal to Y. Or in this case you can say points to as well. So while keep going is equal to Y. That's the only way this loop is going to be true and it's going to enter the loop is if once we enter here the input for keep going, if it's Y again, then the loop will be true, then the loop will loop again. It's going to keep going forever. The whole point of a loop is that it keeps going forever as long as the condition is true. Once the condition is false, the loop stops. So hopefully that makes sense. So if we enter N here for to mimic no, then this loop will be false. Therefore this whole loop will get skipped in that case to the end of the indentation in Python, and then there's no more code here, thus the program terminates. So here I'm going to step over. It's going to wait for input here. I'll hit N and hit enter. Now it's going to check, since we have keep going points to N now, it's going to say, okay, we'll keep going points to N. So it's going to check the loop condition one more time when we step in. or yeah, step in, then it's gonna be like, okay, well, while keep going is equal to y, well, keep going is equal to n. So if keep going is not equal to y, then I'm gonna have to stop. That's what the Python interpreter is gonna say, because this condition was false, so I'm gonna have to skip this block of code. Here we go. So he says the code finished. We can see the debug process stopped. The stop button doesn't highlight it anymore. And we can see here that the process finished with an exit code 0, which means that there is no error. The program ended peacefully, basically. That's what it's saying. So there you go. You're doing loops now, so then now we'll just go on to the next code. So we'll do one more here, actually maybe two more, just to show an infinity loop. So we'll do two more codes here. Let's just see what else we have. Okay, so we're going to do a temperature program. So let's just do this example. See, loops are easy. We'll get into nested, should we do nested while loops in this code? We might have to. Okay, we'll save that for another video, so let's just go over the basic steps for now. So here we'll have, we'll just exit this. So we'll have a constant here, max temp. We'll say max temp points to 102.5. And we'll have a temperature variable here. We'll say that it's a float. We'll cast it to, so we're saying float. We want our input function to return to be cast to a float. Then the prompt will be enter the substance's Celsius temperature. Whoops. So here we'll say while temperature is greater than max temp. So this loop's only going to be true if max temp is greater than the max, if the temperature is greater than the max temp, so greater than 102.5. And here we'll say the temp is too high. I forgot the new line here. So just add a new line there, and then so this prints out nicely. So in here we'll have, we have the temperature is too high. Here we'll say turn the thermostat down and wait. And here we'll have 5 minutes. Excuse me. So here we'll have in 5 minutes. And take the temperature again. Or just in 5 minutes, then take the temperature. In 5 minutes, then take the temperature. We'll just have here again and enter it. And we'll have here temperature, temperature, is that what I called it? Okay, yeah, so temperature, temperature, points to float, again, float cast it to the input function. Enter the new Celsius temp. And here we'll have print the temp is acceptable. Then here we'll say check it again in 15 minutes. So that should be all. So let's just see where this code's going here. So we have max temp, enter a temp. While the temp is greater than the max temp. Temp is too high, turn that down and wait in 5 minutes and take the temperature again. Then it's going to check temperature again. Enter something. Then it's going to see pretty much I don't think we need this, but this might just be confusing because it might be too high or too low, so we'll just go with that. So we'll set a breakpoint here, and so basically if the temperature is greater than this number, because we just have a greater than, so if it's if it's equal to 102.5, this loop will get false, so just remember that. So if it'll become false. So if we have a temperature it's only going to be true if this temperature is greater than max temp, the constant. So 102.5, like 00, it has to be at least a fraction higher than, greater than 102.5 to enter the loop. If it's equal to, it's false. If it's less than, it's false. So in this case, there's only two options here. It's either greater than or less than. Is there a mistake here? Oh, I think I forgot the... Okay, there we go. So just don't forget that shift semicolon there. So we'll just, I'll hit Control S, and then I'll click the debug icon. Okay, so I'm going to step over. So we have our max temp constant points to 102.5. Then we have our temperature variable here. I'm going to step over it. It's going to wait for input from the keyboard in this case. So then we'll enter the substance's Celsius temperature. We'll just say that it's 102. We'll hit enter. So while temperature is greater than max temp, we'll enter. The code finished. Why did the code finish? The code terminated because we have the temperature less than this value. Therefore, this condition was false. This while loop was false. Therefore, if it was false, again, it skips the whole block to the next indentation. In that case, the program was done. So here we'll do it again with a value that is greater than 102.5 just to show what happens. So here I'll do 103, I'll hit enter. While temperature is greater than max temp, we'll step in. This time the condition was true, so the code execution proceeded into the loop to the first line. Now it's going to print these statements. The temp is too high, turn the thermostat down and wait. In 5 minutes, then take the temperature again and enter it. So there's no clock here timing, but you get the idea. So here I'll step over this. So again, it's going to reset, it's going to set the temperature to point to another value again, because we're getting input again, so it's going to reset the temperature variable. Here it's waiting for input. Here let's just say that it's 99. Obviously boiling hot because this is in Celsius, so here we'll have, so now it says check it again in 15 minutes. We'll step over. You can see in the variables we have our temperature reset to 99. Originally it was 10, whatever we said, 103 I think. So now we're back at the loop, because what happens if you're confused on what happens after we get to this line, just think of it like this. So we got here, and it's gonna, you can take the mouse, follow the mouse like this, it's gonna go underneath, back up here, back up right there. So it's gonna do that every time we get to the last line before the end of the loop. Every time you're in a loop, it's gonna have to loop back like this. Back up here, right? So loop starts here. The lines execute once we get to the end of the loop within the indentation in this case, or in another programming language, within the end of the bracket, the second bracket I mean. Then here we're gonna end up, follow the indentation, so back up here, back up here, back up, all the way, loop back up here, and make sure you remember to check the condition again. You have to check the condition again. Once you finish the loop code, you have to loop back up and check the condition again. So this time if we enter, actually I don't know what happened there, but if we enter something that's greater than, it'll continue to loop. So if it's going to keep checking. So it's going to pretend like we're starting the code off again here. So I can show you something, what happens if we do something like this. And I'll show you the infinity loop idea in a sec. So we don't really need to step through it now, so I'll show you through the run. Send to the substance's Celsius temperature. So here we'll just say, if I go 999, enter. The temp is too high. Turn the thermostat down, so it repeats the instructions. Enter the new Celsius temp, 999. Watch what happens if I keep doing that, 999, 999. Look what's happening. It keeps repeating and printing out the instructions. Look, 999, repeat, 999, 998, 999, 998. Look what's happening, it's continuing to loop, right? This process just keeps continuing over and over again. So if we hard code this to 999, it can potentially blow up your computer. So just be careful. I'll do it for a second. If you leave it running for a long time, it can blow up your computer. So I'll show you. So if we go max temp here, if I stop that and I hard code this, I take this out, the input. Yeah, so what are we gonna do here? So we'll take this temperature out. No, actually no, sorry, we'll take the max temp out. Here we'll say 999 or something like that, 889. While temperature is greater than 102. Watch what happens. I'm gonna save that. This is gonna be an infinity loop. Watch what happens here. Oh, whoops, sorry. Take this line out too, so just to double check, just to show you guys what we have, or what's going to happen is there's a hard-coded temperature here. So the temperature is always greater than 102. Therefore, this loop is just going to continue forever. It's called an infinity loop, so that means it's going to loop till infinity, like forever, basically. So watch what happens. Get ready to hit the stop if you're going to try this, because it's going to blow up the computer. See what happens? Now look, I'm going to hit stop. And look how many times that got printed. Like, that printed a million times. I can't even scroll up there. So if you leave that running for a long time, you're going to blow up your computer. Pretty much you're going to blow up your computer, so just be careful. So there you go, that's the while loop. That's how to check conditions. Of course you can throw an AND in here. You can throw an OR in here, you can throw a NOT. And I'll show you how to nest them in the next, I guess probably pretty soon. And we'll also go over the for loop. So hopefully that helps you guys. If you like the video, you can give me a thumbs up to support the channel. And you can subscribe if you like to see more programming videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.